in the courts and Congress and actually at the White House. So if you know what I'm talking about, stay tuned. In this video, I am going to go into the different ways that the resistance is actually succeeding in beating Donald Trump. And this is a two-part video. The other part of this video is only for my membership communities on Patreon, Substack, YouTube, and TikTok, where I go into deeper the actual plans that we have to remove Donald Trump from office and stop Elon Musk and Doge, D-O-G-E, in its tracks. So if you're interested in that, you want to be a member of my membership community because that's not for public consumption. But anyway, let's get started. And before I actually get into that, which you can skip through if you want, because I'm going to put timestamps, I'm going to do a little point of privilege and give you an update into where I've been recently in the past couple of weeks, again, kind of MIA. So you know if you're interested in that. Otherwise, skip ahead and we'll just get right into it. So on the onset, we all know that Donald Trump had a wonderful opportunity to coast in on the Biden economy. And irrespective of the fact that the MAGAs say the last 4 years was terrible and it was horrible, they can't really articulate how terrible it could have been compared to what we're experiencing now. Check out the markets, for example. Now, he had an opportunity to coast in on the economy where we had the GDP was going up. There was a month over month of job growth for the past, the entire 4 years of the Biden administration. We had increase in home ownership and retail spending. Consumer confidence was up. The United States was the envy of the world in terms of recovering over the recession and recovering over the inflation and all the different ways. It was the envy of the world. Biden has been crushing it. Just like how Donald Trump walked into a great job growth, a booming economy handed to him by Barack Obama. He could have just coasted, but he doesn't want peace. He wants problems. He decides to launch a tariff war, which we now know is going to lead us into a recession. It caused the markets to crash. People are getting nervous. It's just a hot mess, just alienating us with our allies for no reason. It's because Donald Trump is transactional. He doesn't understand nuance. He doesn't have the diplomacy. He doesn't really know how things work. And he is like quid pro quo, and he simplifies complex topics for him in the most simplest forms, and he extrapolates a simple fragment of information or data point, and he hops on that without really understanding nuance. It's really complicated. They said during his first administration, they had to simplify things into flow charts and pictures because he's literally illiterate. And so we have an illiterate, incompetent, inept person leading us down this path of recession because he doesn't know what he's doing and he's incompetent. And he could have coasted and taken the benefit and getting the credit for it, like he did take the credit for the Obama administration, but he did not and he cannot. So it is what it is, and we have what we have. So two mistakes that Donald Trump also made is taking his sugar daddy, his little Leon Muskrat, to cut the government. Leon said, I can do it. And Donald Trump said, sure. Donald Trump, whether he knows or not, didn't tell Leon, who is a South African American. He may or may not have taken the citizenship test, but he has no clue what the United States government does. I don't think Donald Trump or his minions or the people, the private sector people who are running the government with him now, understand the role of service, how private sector differs from public sector, in that in the private sector, your job is to decrease the inefficiency, to make a lot of money, to maximize, to disrupt. That's private sector. That's great. In the public, there's not really about disruption. It's about service to the people, making sure our safety net stays safe. People feel comfortable, and we have government services, and we're serving the people, the government, to make sure they are safe and secure. That's the goal of government, is to provide where there are inefficiencies, where there's a breakdown, where there's market failure. The government supports the people, not the money. Donald Trump recently, when they said there's a recession, he said, we're going to have lots of money. We're going to be making billions of dollars. We're going to get Greenland. We're going to make billions of billions of billions. When he says this stuff, he's not talking about you and me. He's talking about his rich friends. And then also, that's not the goal of the government, is to make billions and billions and make people rich. The purpose of government is to make people comfortable and knowing that their services, their basic services, they get their passport application, they can fly safely in the skies, they can eat foods and know the fruit that's been inspected. They know that when they do go to work, OSHA is making sure that their employers are keeping their workspace safe. That's the purpose of the government, to keep people safe and secure. It's not about making money. I don't think he understands that. Leon doesn't understand that, definitely. And that's what he puts in charge. And every single day, Leon puts stuff out. Anyway, I'll get into that later. It's proving that he doesn't know what he's doing. Just because he was able to finagle his way and mastermind and find things that are already working and supplants himself in there using his mom and daddy's money doesn't make him a genius. Neither does it make Donald Trump, who is great at marketing, smarter than he really is. He bankrupts his companies. He kept getting bailed out by his parents. And he shows every time he opens his mouth that he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. So you have these two leadings. And then on top of that, on top of all of that, then you have him just moving forward on this agenda of tariffing and just not knowing what he's doing. Big mistake, but his mistakes are our benefit for those of us who are resisting because we want him removed. Now, here are the ways that he is actually losing, and the judiciary losing, and Congress and losing an executive. Now, for the judiciary, as you probably know, that every single thing that Donald Trump has done, every executive order, almost 100%, are in violation of the United States Constitution, the First Amendment, the Third Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the 10th Amendment, the 15th Amendment, the 14th Amendment, the 8th Amendment. He also violates this thing called the Administrative Procedure Act, which says that the government must actually build a record and follow proper procedures before they act or do anything to disruptive. They don't do anything because Russell Vought, who is his Office of Management and Budget, who is his shadow government person, who is the co-author of Project 2025, he already confessed during a secret tape that he's drafted all these executive orders. He's identified people he thought were shadow government to get rid of and to remove all of the watchdogs to stop him and Trump from railroading through, dismantling democracy, supplanting loyalists into the government with disregard to the law and restructures everything. He said this himself. So we already know, because this was formed before, there's no way he could have done the work that needs to be done to do what he's trying to do. Reasons for firing the people he fired. That work has not been done. So it's a no-brainer. There's no wiggle room for the courts to actually sort of figure out, can this be done? Let's interpret. There's no precedent for what he's doing because no president ever has gone in and just had a front to the United States Constitution and screw the Constitution. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And that's what Donald Trump is doing. I think by giving him criminal immunity, he's stupid. He thought criminal immunity from prosecution meant he could violate civil law. That's how dumb he is. And so because of that, he said, I can do whatever I want. Just let it go to Supreme Court and they're going to green light it. And Supreme Court has already knocked down his attempt to not pay federal workers. Supreme Court said, dude, this is separations of power. This money was dished out. The people did the work. Pay the folks the money. Only his little peons and minions, Samuel Alito, Clarence Thomas, and then Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh were going to simp for him and try to and make wiggle room for him to get out of it. And even if I explained in a short video I did, either on this channel or on short somewhere else, he wouldn't even be able to meet the standard that they gave him, like the Audi, the gimme that the Supreme Court minority and the recent decision tried to give him. He wouldn't have met the standard for that anyway. So it's a waste of time. But the point of it is that he thought that he could just go through. But each time he's come through, they've lost. And they've lost on substantive grounds. The J.D. Vance, Elon, Trump, some of the Republicans have tried to threaten the judges, say we're going to launch articles of impeachment, we're going to go after law firms. All of that is because the people are following the law and they don't have a basis for that. Because if you were to dismantle them, it has to be based on some sort of severe breach of duty to the law and some sort of egregious actions. They're just saying, no, you can't kill people. You can't shoot protesters. That's basic law. You're going to fire them or remove them for actually interpreting the law as they're supposed to be because you're lawless, because you're a criminal felon who don't pay your bills, who've crime in all your life, didn't want to give up your tax return, evade taxes, evade the draft, is overall just a terrible person. Why are Republicans trying to punish judges for following the law properly against this little cult member? Before this is taped after, you'll be able to see some of the more recent wins in the court, starting with the fact that the court has told the Trump administration they have to give what's her name? Gwen Wilcox was the first black woman to head the National Labor Relations Board, her job back. They said that according to the law, if you were going to get rid of her, you have to actually show that she's not done her job and have a record of that. And you don't have that. You just did a 3-line email just saying she gets, you have to get rid of her. That's against the law. The law that created that position for her specifically requires certain things, certain protocols, specific things need to be done and said, and they weren't there. So she got her job back. Then you have the USDA being they return their jobs because they fired people that they shouldn't have fired, and they're getting their job back. FOIA, a recent court said that the DOGE tried to avoid FOIA, which is Freedom of Information Act requests. If you're an agency, the public, once they have standing, once they have an interest, can get your documents. You have like 10 to 20 days, whatever it is, to return the documents. And Doge has been dodging it. Doge has been dodging it, trying to reframe and bob and weave and say, no, we're not an agency. We're a special this. Whatever it is, what you're doing is equivalent to an agency. And a federal court said you're subject to Freedom of Information Act request. And so get us that information. So we're going to find out some more information soon, whether it's accurate or not. They tried to stop NIH funding, reimbursement for NIH. The judge says no. The judge says that ICE cannot come to churches. Actually, was it the Quakers that asked for that? The Mennonite Jews said also have been challenged in the court. The refugee and resettlement that Donald Trump says has one executive order saying he's going to stop discrimination against Christians. Then he has another executive order which essentially stops Christian organizations from resettling Christians who are escaping persecution in their own countries for being Christian. So which one is it? Do you want to protect Christians or do you want to hurt Christians? Which one is it, Donald Trump? So that's the loss. The judge says, no, they already started the process. The people are coming. You can't stop them. You might have seen the news report saying they stopped the plane, and every single thing they do is illegal. and the courts are ruling it back. Some other cases I found that SCOTUS said you have to pay back the invoices, I said before. Another judge said the Office of Personnel Management, which try to fire or pressure agencies across the government to fire probationary employees by citing performance reasons, just blanketly, when the people who they fired often have like 5 out of 5 or 15 out of 15 have perfect performance ratings. So that means that they're not following the law. It was just a rouge. And when pressed upon it by the courts, the Trump administration rescinded it recently on March 4th and said, we never told you that. There's the gaslight administration. That's what it is. They just gaslight. Another win for the resistance is websites. They try to take down websites related to trans, race, like related to women. A lot of the websites that have data sets that doctors rely on, they were forced to put those back, and they did. Donald Trump trying to punish schools for DEI, which caused a bunch of schools, had a chilling effect to actually stop and pause scholarships and take them offline and stop celebrations of different communities. A judge said, what the hell? You can't do that. It violates the First Amendment rights of schools to do whatever they want. And so no. And then the scholarships came back online. Asylum applications, the Trump administration tried to stop people from filing asylum applications, which is part of congressionally authorized laws that they can do that. So they said, okay, fine. There's ongoing lawsuits against the farmers trying to fight the Trump administration for their border agents and patrollers, like intimidating their staff and their workforce and essentially crippling them and putting them out of business. So those are some of the wins. And people say, are they going to enforce them? They've been resisting. Someone's like, have they resisted? Yes. The state governments, multiple times, the states, including Pennsylvania and other states, have had to go back to courts after courts have said that the Trump administration must return the funding. They didn't do it. So they had to go back to the court. Even the case with Hampton Dillinger, was it Hampton? Yeah, Hampton Dillinger, the Office of Special Counsel, the Trump administration kept not giving him access. They kept blocking. They repeatedly attempted to not return funding and to not rehire people and not give people access and continue to block them, even after a court said to unblock and to return access. These parties, these participants, I've been following these cases. I know a few people have said, that's not true. You haven't been following the cases. I've been following the cases. There's this website called Just Security. If you go into them, they're tracking all the cases. I have a tracker called outlasting47.com where you can go and click and get access to all the court cases, find and join and be a member of all of the different organizations, associations that are doing this. And that's a great way to support my work here because I charge like a $7.99 fee for that. And it's a one-time fee. I constantly update it. When I update it, I send you the updates. For new, I had a Trump bingo card in the back, which I have to change it now. All the Trump members have not been confirmed, but once they're confirmed, the new bingo is going to be shifting to who goes first. So right now it's kind of like who gets confirmed. And when they all get confirmed, the bingo card is going to be who's going to get kicked out or left or fired first. So it's going to stay on. It's going to be a different bingo card. So that's how you can support me at outlasting47.com. But because I'm tracking this, I know very well that the Trump administration has been resistant. I know well that when pushed by courts, they actually succumb and they actually abide by orders, despite what you might have heard that who's going to enforce this. I've seen that argument so many times. They're not abiding by it, which reports have said correctly they weren't. But when pushed, they do, and they have been. So that's the good news. Now that's the judiciary for it. So we're winning. On the legislative front, people say, where are the Democrats in all this? What are the Democrats doing? Let me tell you what the Democrats are doing. The Democrats are doing what they can do. One thing they're doing now, as you see, is that they are not green lighting and working with the Republicans to get their continuing resolution, essentially just kicking the can down the road. They can't get a budget because the budget is horrible. So, we're not voting that budget. So the Republicans said, we'll do a continuing resolution where we won't make any major budget cuts. And the Democrats have said, we're not going to do that because when you do this, that allows Trump at least to have some authority to do what he's doing. Before, the current budget that he's butchering is Joe Biden's budget. So once you pass this continuing resolution, that would be Trump's budget. And so the things that he's trying to do, at least he can say that he's doing this according to Congress. Or before, it's kind of Congress allocated their funds under Joe Biden, and everything he's doing is in violation of the separation of powers, ultra virus. So it makes it easier for him and Doge to do what they're doing once this budget is passed. So that's why no Democrats, except one Democrat, voted for the continuing resolution just passed in the House today, and one Republican voted against it. And not because he was against it, because he said, what, I don't want no kicking the can down the road. I want a huge budget. And then Donald Trump threatened to primary him, essentially put an opponent up against him when he comes up for re-election and funnel funds into that opponent so the opponent would win in the primary. And because it's a safe red district, that person will win. But I'm going to tell you in my next video about those safe districts. But if you're not a member, go join that video. I'm going to talk to you about that then there. You'll see more. Democrats also band together. Every single one of them voted against an attempt by the Republicans to ban transgender females from female sports. And that's how they are doing it, because the lead that the Republicans have in the House and Senate is so slim that a lot of times for major acts, they need 60% vote, and they don't have it. Speaking of 60, in the Senate, there's this thing called cloture, where it's you need 60 votes of the senators to stop debate. Otherwise, you could filibuster. Back in the day, Strom Thurmond, filibuster, just keep talking and talking for 24 hours to stop the vote, to stop you from voting on it. Now they don't have to do that. You can filibuster with just a click of a button. So that's a tool that the Democrats are going to use to stop major things like the SAVE Act or anything that's major disruptive that requires a 60 vote in the Senate. They're not going to do it because the Democrats are going to do their jobs to stop it. So Democrats are doing what they can. At some point, if we were able to flip the 6th and 1st district in Florida or the 21st district in New York, which is problematic, and there's more to that I've learned, then we would get the House. Hakeem Jeffries would be the Speaker of the House. He'd be able to control the budget. We would control some of the committees. We'd have subpoena power and get Elon Musk's butt in front of the Congress to answer the questions and stammer his way through it. Anyway, so that is the legislative end, that they are doing what they can. And also for the Republican side of the legislative, they're sounding the alarms. A lot of the Republicans was we don't like the idea of cutting Medicaid in the budget, in the major budget, and we're not going forward with this. That's why Speaker Johnson had to pull that back, because he was not getting full on board with all of the members of the Senate, so long as there was cuts to Medicaid. So that's one thing. There's a GOP senator from Ohio who said Donald Trump needs to cut out all these damn executive orders, was frustrated. Then you have a lot of GOP senators saying that DOJ, Elon, needs to stop messing with congressional authority. You're stepping on our toes. 8 Republicans of Hispanic caucus is kind of we're not voting for no spending bill that does what you say you're going to do. And Republicans urge the Congress to not cut Indian Health Services layoffs of the DOGE. So there's fraction amongst Republicans because a lot of stuff they're trying to do is unpopular. So speaking of unpopular, the town halls, that's legislatively how the Okay, so we've had several wins. I took some Speaking of legislative townhouses, you know that a lot of the Republicans and Democrats went back home during the break to their hometowns and hold town halls where they're going to tell their constituents all the great things they've seen and been doing. And unceremoniously and uncharacteristically, these town halls have been filled out to the brink because these members are really upset about the Doge cuts. But the Doge cuts aren't just hurting some of the people, some of the voters, Republican voters thought would hurt, essentially just black people. Even though they say people of color, minority, they really were trying to hurt black people. The trans community, which represents less than 1% of the United States population, the migrants and immigrant community, which is like 3.5% of the population. They thought those were the only people that Trump was going to hurt. They didn't realize that Trump releasing power and authority unauthorized, unlawfully to Elon Musk and his Doge agency was going to end up with them losing their farms, literally. Like the USAID cuts, the farmers' surplus goes to USAID. So when you cut USAID and you freeze their funding, oh well for the farmers, their contracts are gone. SNAP benefits, when you cut the SNAP benefits, a lot of the farmers, they supply food for the SNAP program, gone. What? The construction sites, the builders, the chilling effect of Donald Trump saying we're going after the undocumented people cause their workers to be gone. They're frustrated. Some of them have had contracts that are federal contracts. They work for nonprofits. They're a beneficiary of these contracts. They're just like, what? Some of them work for federal government. Federal government is just not in D.C. Federal government is dispersed throughout the United States. They're getting cut too by these Doge cuts because Elon has no sense. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't understand. I'll get into him a little bit later. So they're getting impacted by these crazy cuts. And they're like, what the hell is going on? And so they're letting them know. I saw that some of the House Republican, I guess, organization, or whatever, the Republicans, and Elon and some of the Speaker Johnson and Donald Trump sort of try to suggest that there are Democrats implanted in those meetings. No, I look at those things. Those people look like Republicans. And some of them even stand up and say, hey, actually, I'm a Republican. I'm a lifelong Republican. I voted for Donald Trump 3 times. What the frick is going on, Donald Trump? I did not vote for this Elon guy. Rein him in. So that's part of the legislative front, is that the legislature are feeling the pinch. So recently when they had a closed door meeting, I heard a lot of them told Elon, like, look at here, you got to ease up with the cuts here. This is not going boding well with us. And this is the legislative piece of it that I'm going to talk on the private sector portion of my video. So watch for that, how we're going to manipulate and use the disgruntledness of the Republicans' own base against them. So check that out. Now that's what's going on in the legislature. Now the executive. How is the executive impacting? One, as I said before in a secret video that I guess I can talk about now, I said that I believe this is going to be the biggest, leakiest White House. I know Elon and Trump last time and this time are trying to crack down on leaks, and they will. And I know a lot of federal workers I've suggested should have deleted their social media and stay off of social and don't say anything political socially, because the vindictive holes that are in charge will actually make them punished, and they'll put them on leave. And I've heard instances of them doing that before. So they know not to. However, there's ways to get around it, and people know how to get around it. And there's just like, you can leak. It's you have 2 million people at the job. Stuff's going to leak. And it's been leaking like crazy. A lot of stuff we know about, we know because of leaks, and they'll continue to leak. But so outside of the leaking, the other thing is that we're winning because Elon himself, again, is doing so many things and showing that he doesn't know what he's doing. I know that they'll have these Elon fanboys and these Trump MAGAs who would defend everything Elon do, and they would say to me, and I just block them because I have no tolerance. I've seen another creator, the people taunt them and call them names, and then they just, I guess they look at his engagement and they respond to them. And it's exhausting. And I used to do that and try, but now I just don't have it. I don't care. I don't want you to be under my video insulting me, calling me names and things like that. Maybe someone said, well, you're not ready for the big times. Maybe I'm not, but I don't know if big times mean I have to have people spreading misinformation and slandering me and calling me racist names and underneath my comment. You can have that. No, I'm not ready for that. I didn't think that was part of it. I didn't sign up for that. So I'm cool with that. So Elon deleted websites about savings when he really did misread the spreadsheets. They counted savings for contracts that were already paid. His website was hacked, and he made it open source. He posted sensitive information. He stated that there were 150-year-olds on Social Security when it turned out that was a mistake. That had to do with an accounting error related to the Gregorian calendar and Boolean logic. And had Elon had actual accountants on his staff rather than like pimple-faced coders, they might have known that, but they don't know what they're doing. They're unqualified, unfit for the job. He told Donald Trump that the $50 million was going to condoms in Gaza. I saw the screenshot. They just searched Gaza. It was Gaza, Africa. No one checked. That doesn't even make sense. That didn't even sound right. Neither Elon nor Donald Trump thought that check that before I say that out loud. He repeated that Donald Trump repeated to the press secretary. That just tells you the extent to which they don't know what they're doing, and they're not even smart. They don't even have the, what's the word I'm looking for? The, what is the word I'm looking for? Pause. They don't even have the intellectual curiosity or judgment to say that doesn't look like, double check that, and so they just repeat it. They're just searching for topics. So they search for DIA. A stands for accessibility. So they removed the website from the FAA that allows you to get a wheelchair. So that's how dumb they are. They're just random words. They're just searching it and deleting it. And when they're doing it, it's like getting rid of like really functions that has nothing to do with what they intended to do, because they're dumb. They're just dumb kids and they're stupid. And if you hired somebody to do that and they set you up to look dumb, you would fire them. But Donald Trump's over here saying he's doing a great job, which is so stupid. That he's attacking agencies that were investigating him. That shows a conflict of interest, shows he's criminally liable for violating a law in the United States government that says if you're a special government employee, you cannot speak or do anything or work or anything to which you have a financial interest. And it's his financial interest to get rid of departments that are investigating him, while he's also getting $4 billion or plus to make space junk. We can't afford to feed hungry children or to give health care to our vets. We can't afford stupid items off of space stuff that you're going to blow up anyway. It's so dumb. So people are seeing right through that. Thank God. He didn't attack the defense budget, which gives him most of his money. And they say the Pentagon failed its last 7 audits, but yet it's 800 whatever billion dollars, and which is the biggest item in the $26.7 trillion budget of the United States. They didn't touch the biggest one. They're going to touch these, something like the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which has a budget of $800 million, but which has returned an investment of $25 billion back to the pockets of consumers. That's not an agency you cut. You don't cut agencies that are operating at 70% capacity when they say before you got the cutting that they need 30%, 36% more staff. They're understaffed. Why are you cutting understaffed people? Why are you cutting the Federal Aviation Administration's air traffic controllers when you have airplanes falling out of the sky? And that's why Sean Duffy was yelling at his ass during the closed door meeting last week, like, you dumbass, but that's what he's doing. He is, claiming $8 billion in savings when it was actually $8 million. Then he says that, what was the other thing he said that he made? They just know what he's doing. And every single time you open your mouth and we can catch the errors, that's the stuff that you wanted to boast about. And that means you have nothing. The stuff that's big is really nothing. So he's not really saving people. Like, don't you want to save waste and stuff like that? Okay, if that was true, he's made a blip on the scale. All of that cutting, all of that stuff they're doing, it hasn't even moved anything forward. So it's been a colossal waste of time. Colossal waste of time. And it's not the first time. Ronald Reagan commissioned this Grace Commission. J.R. Grace he was a businessman. He got a bunch of business people to fund a committee. They put together, they made suggestions. And you know who told him don't do it because of the conflicts? Chief Justice Roberts. He was his clerk at the time at the White House, and he wrote it. He said the conflict of interest, it doesn't look good. Let's just take their suggestions and we'll do what we can within. The Administrative Procedure Act stopped them because every single thing they suggested couldn't be done without a thorough, careful review put on the public record, and all the process and procedures. 238 years old government. They put these laws and stuff, the founders, the judiciary, jurisprudence, the Congress enacted, put all these things in to make sure that the government that we built is rock solid. And while it has waste, fraud, and abuse, yes, the way you get rid of it is a scalpel approach, the way Bill Clinton did when he got rid of like 300,000 employees. He worked with the Congress to create a Reduction in Force Act, and he got it done the right way. And it's compassionate because it gives people time to stay on insurance, to find another job, to lateral to other pages. That's how you're supposed to do it. And it didn't get rid of like nuclear people that we need. The USDA, while in the middle of swine flu, it didn't get rid of like critical folks and be like, oh, never mind, or delete stuff. And then can't call them back because they lost the email. One of the reasons they couldn't put funding back is because they deleted the stuff, and they just like, we don't got nobody to help us put it back. That's some of the reasons why some of the stuff was slow, because they stupid. I just can't get away how this is dumb. So they're not smart. They're not genius. This is not doing us any favor. They're doing a shoddy, horrible, D-rate job at it. And anyone who tells you that they're helping, they're not helping. They're only hurting. They're trying to help themselves. And by now, everyone knows it, which is a great thing. That people are smart. People are paying attention. And this is where I feel like Donald Trump messed up. If he wanted to do what he wanted to do, he could have done it like he did last time. That's why no one noticed. He did it slowly, slowly, slowly. This massive shock and awe is just making us all pay attention and all see it all. The reporters see it all. Speaking of legislative and we see everything that they're doing all at once, and it's being reported, and it's hard to ignore. The shock and awe actually is not a great strategy when he could have got it done slowly over time, methodically. Follow the Administrative Procedure Act, do a scalpel approach, work with Congress. There's ways to do every single thing he wanted to do without being so disruptive. Reduction in force give people the time to find a job, a lateral over, keep their insurance, and it's a more cautious, careful, thoughtful, empathetic, humanistic approach to reducing the workforce and getting rid of people. But there's a saying that says, you don't want peace, you want problems. He wants problems. It's kind of, in sports, they say unforced errors. This economy that he's facing now, Donald Trump loves adulation. And the fact that he has a negative approval rating and it's tanking out. He is the worst. He's the only president in United States history to never receive over a 50% approval rating. And he beat out the lowest record ever from last time recently. And the stock market bottoming out, every single thing. Consumer confidence is down. The consumer spending is down. The folks are laughing and they don't look good. Donald Trump wants to be seen as a strong man. And the fact that he flips the script on a lot of things, it just shows because he doesn't have firm commitment. He doesn't have a firm commitment to anything. So the courts are making him reverse. Sometimes a senator calls up, for example, they had cut off some staffing in Indian area. And so the Republican senators in those areas are like, no, that's not a good thing. Put that back. So they'll put that back. Tammy Duckworth called about some slashing of spending of dairy farmers. And he said, return that. He returned that. When he tried to stop the mail, it took the FedEx to say, no, you got to put that back. He did the tariffs, and the manufacturing, the auto manufacturers, like, no, this is going to hurt us. Put that back. Reverse that. So he reverses things because it is not popular. If it's because a court says to Republican senators in those areas are like, no, that's not a good thing. Put that back. So they'll put that back. Tammy Duckworth called about some slashing of spending of dairy farmers, and he said, return that. He returned that. When he tried to stop the mail, it took the FedEx to say, no, you got to put that back. He did the tariffs, and the manufacturing, the auto manufacturers, like, no, this is going to hurt us. Put that back. Reverse that. So he reverses things because it is not popular. If it's because a court says to reverse it, if it's because a member of the constituent asks him to reverse it. If, one time there was the COVID test, he said, no more free COVID tests. And they're like, wait a minute, we're in the middle of a second COVID crisis. Do you really want a second COVID crisis on your hands? No, okay. He reversed that. He said, okay, y'all can have free COVID tests again. So he's just acting recklessly without regard for anything. They just identify boogeymen and culture wars. They identify boogeymen and people who are like make up the smallest fraction of the population. Trans community is less than 1% of the population. The migrant and undocumented people are not really making people's lives better. Even if you got rid of all of them, a lot of people, you'll still be poor. You still won't be paid for your rent or food. The egg prices are still going to go up. That's not helping you, actually. So every single thing he's tried to do is based on stoking people's like want hate of other people. But at the end of the day, that's not going to make your life any better whatsoever. So to the extent that he said to recently that to expect a recession, that the tariffs might hurt a little bit, after saying that of a president who has a recession is bad. Every single thing he's accused Biden and Obama of, he's doing himself. It's like every accusation is confession at this point. And so we have what we have. Anyway, so that's that. So the next video, if you remember my membership community, I'm going to go into how we plan to remove Donald Trump and reverse everything he and Elon Musk have done. If you remember that community, you can check that out over there. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video when I'm going to be talking about why they hate federal workers so much. Like, what's up with the disdain for federal workers and federal civilian workforce? And it's been like that for a while, but it's just gotten on steroids. And the thing about that, why it doesn't make sense, is that even if Elon were to cut all the federal jobs and bring it down to whatever level they're trying to get it to, they're not going to put a dent. And they have not put a dent in the $26.7 trillion budget. They have not even put a dent in the military budget. All of this is for naught. Sooner than later, district court judge, I believe Tanya Chutkan, is going to say that Elon and Doge had no authority to do anything they had done, and to rescind and reverse everything. All the funding freezes, all the firings need to be reversed. To like when she rules, that's what I believe she might rule, and return everything back to normal. Whether they do it or not, and appeal it or not, I don't know what's going to happen. But I think that's going to be her decision. She's laying down the foundation to say that, and as it should be, because they're just running roughshod of this process for no reason. The show, shock and awe thing. And he told Elon, do what you want. And Elon, who's not from America, says, oh yeah, okay, sure, I'm going to do it. And some of the stuff he says is kind of, you show you have a fundamental misunderstanding or lack of understanding of the way our government works here. This is not South Africa, sir. This is not the private sector. We don't need disrupting. The federal government, the purpose of it is to actually serve the people, and actually to provide critical services for the people, and to provide a safety net, not to make money, not to reduce, reducing inefficiency is important, yes, but that's not the primary goal of the government. And I don't think they understand that. Donald Trump's not service oriented. No one in his family has ever served in the military. He laughs at people, say, why would you do this? Because he's selfish. Anyway. Is what he is. So now I invite you to check out that video. If you haven't checked it out, I have other playlists here. I have a playlist on this channel that goes deeper. I'm going to divide up the playlists into in this way to make more sense. The people brains work. They might want to know what are the wins, and they might want to know who's challenging, and they may want to know how are we fighting it back. So maybe those are 3 categories of playlists that I'm going to have here on this channel, on this account. So you can check that out. So it could be more functional use for you. So again, you can download my tracker at outlasting47.com, where I update and list all of the people who filed lawsuits against the Trump administration, all the organizations, and we can click and go join them, support them, donate to their causes, sign up for their trackers. And then also we can go and track all the cases. And then I'm also going to have a cabinet pick bingo. First, the bingo is going to be who gets confirmed, and after they get confirmed, it's going to be who's going to go first. So we're going to be tracking those things. And then also case trackers, so you can print out and write down and track these cases as they go along, so you can feel active in the approach and don't feel like helpless. You can also join my private communities and download and join me on my private communities, the trackers, and find me on JJ Legal in all social places. And finally, you can also get some of my media templates, which I sell for families and for content creators. So if you're interested in that sort of stuff, I'm going to do videos about those later on. Those are ways you can support my work here, because I feel, and people told me I'm one of the few people that are giving them calm, because I'm giving them wins and making them happy and say, this is how we've won today. This is what's great news today. And there's not a lot of great news. There's a lot of doom and gloom and people who are defeatist and feeling like they've succumbed. Part of that I think is genuine. Part of it I think is bots. I think they want you to feel defeated. They want you to feel like there's nothing else you can do, and to give up and to succumb and then just accept whatever they're doing to you. And that's the problem. And that's why there are bots doing that. So that's by design. And that's why you need to have spaces like me, and join communities like mine that I'm trying to curate here on social media, and others similar to us that are actually fighting back and giving you the wins and making you happy and relieving your anxiety and stress that you have. All right, I rambled on for now. This is a super long video. If you watched the whole thing so far, thank you. I invite you to share with other people who need some good news. Join my community here. I'm going to be posting more videos now that I'm back from vacation. And that's it. All right, talk to you soon. Bye. JJ Gatton. Peace out.